Welcome to the Vue Diagram tutorial. In this video, I will show you how to add and customize connectors in the Syncfusion Vue Diagram component. I will explain the types of connectors and how to add annotations, styles, and decorators to a connector. First, I open my existing Vue application where I have added a diagram component with flow shape nodes. To learn more about integrating the diagram component into a Vue application, please check the Getting Started video linked in the card above and in the description below. Let me run this application using the command npm run dev. The diagram canvas is rendered with nodes with the specified shape types. Now I will show you how to add connectors to the diagram component. I can add connectors using a connector collection by drawing a connector on the designer canvas or using the symbol palette. Loading nodes from the symbol palette was explained in my previous video. I've put the video link in the description below. First, I will connect the first and second node using the connectors property. In the diagram tag, bind the connectors property with a value. In the data function, define the connectors property with a variable. Within the script tag, define the connectors variable. Assign a collection of objects. Define the ID property, set the value to start to process connector, and define the source ID property with the value start node. Then set the target ID value to process node. Save the file. You can see the connector connects start node and process node. Next, let me show you how to add a connector dynamically at runtime. I will connect process node and decision node using the mounted function. To do so, in the diagram component, add the attribute ref and assign a value. This is done to access the diagram component directly from the script. Within the script tag, declare the diagram instance variable. To define this diagram instance variable, use the mounted function and define it by accessing the $ref subject and assign the diagram objects, ej2 instances. Using this diagram instance, you can access the diagram component related properties. To add a connector to the diagram, use the diagram instance and call the addConnector method by passing an object that contains the property ID, source ID with value process node, and target ID with value decision node. Now, save the file. In the diagram canvas, you can see the connector for the process and decision nodes. Next, I'll show you how to draw a connector on the diagram canvas. I want to enable the drawing tool once a button is clicked. So, to create the button, first install the button package. It is available in the Syncfusion ej2 Vue Buttons package. The installation is now complete. In the app component, import the button component and define it in the component's property with a name. In the template, add a division tag and set a class name for better alignment. Within it, add the EJS button tag and set the content as drawConnector. Set a class name for alignment. Add a click directive and assign an event handler. In the data function, implement the method drawConnector. Within it, use the diagram instance's tool property and assign the diagram tool's draw1cnum value to it. This way, you can draw the connector at one time. I can also set the continuous draw option to draw more than one connector at a time. Notice that the diagram tools module is added in the import statement from the Syncfusion ej2 Vue Diagrams package. To draw a connector, you need to define the type of connector. Use the diagram instance's drawing object property and define an object with a property ID. Next, set the type property for the connector. You can add straight, orthogonal, Bezier, Polyline, or Freehand connector types. A straight connector will be 2 points without any curves or angles, suitable for clear and simple connections. This connector consists of horizontal and vertical segments forming right angles, ideal for creating organized diagrams with precise alignment. A Bezier connector has a smooth curve connecting 2 points, defined by control handles to adjust the curve's shape, commonly used for creating flowing connections between elements. A polyline connector is a series of connected straight line segments, allowing for multiple bends and angles, useful for illustrating pathways or routes with flexibility. A freehand connector is a connector drawn freehand, allowing for more organic and irregular shapes, often employed for casual or artistic diagrams where precision is less important. Both polyline and freehand types can be drawn only using the drawing tool and cannot be rendered programmatically. In this flowchart, you need a straight connector to connect the decision node and end node. So, set the connector type as straight. In the Style tag, import the EJ2 Vue button styles and implement the division tag class style to align left and set the margin at the bottom. Implement the button class style for margin right. Now run the application. You can see the button component. Click it. When you move the mouse into the diagram canvas, you can see the drawing tool. Now you can draw a straight connector to connect the decision node and end node one time. You can add annotations to the connector at runtime by double-clicking on the connector. You can also select the connector and press the F2 key on the keyboard to add or edit the annotations. To add annotations programmatically in the connectors collection, first add a new connector object with an ID, source ID, and target ID. To set annotations, add the property annotations and set an array. You can add one or more annotations. Here, I need only one annotation, so I add one object. Within the object, add the content property and set the value yes. Set the style with the fill property so that the background of the content will be white. In the diagram canvas, you can see the connector with the provided annotations and a white background. Next, you need to connect the decision node and process node when the condition is false. To do so, in the connector collection, add a new connector. Set its source ID to decision node and target ID to process node. You can see the default straight arrow connector that overlaps with the existing one. To avoid this, you need to add the connector type, segments, and ports. I will explain these. First, in the connector object, set the type as orthogonal. Define the segments property and set its type as orthogonal, the direction to right, and length to 50. This will create an orthogonal segment. You can see the orthogonal segment is created, but still the connecting point is not in the right position. I can fix this problem by adding ports to the nodes. In the script tag, define a ports variable, assign a collection of objects, define an ID property, and set it to right mid port. Set the offset values for x to 1 and y to 0.5. This will create a port in the right side middle position of the node. I will explain more about ports in my upcoming videos. In the process node, define the ports property with the created ports variable. Do the same for the decision node. To connect these two ports via the connector, in the decision to process connector object, define the target port ID with the created port ID. Similarly, assign the source port ID with the created port ID. Now you can see the orthogonal connector connecting the two nodes via the two newly defined ports. Next, I'll show you how to connect the same nodes using a Bezier type connector. In the connector object, change the type to Bezier. Within the segments, change the type to Bezier and remove the direction and length properties since they are not applicable for Bezier type connectors. To create the smooth bend of a Bezier curve, you need to add 2 points. So add point 1's property and set the x and y values. Then add point 2's value. Now these 2 points will act as the control handles to adjust the curve's shape. You can see the Bezier connector connecting the 2 nodes via the defined ports and via the point 1 and point 2 values. If you want to sketch out ideas without worrying about precision or adherence to strict shapes, you can use the Freehand tool. To enable it, in the drawing object, set the type to Freehand. Click the Draw Connector button to draw any desired shape using the Freehand tool. Similarly, to draw a polyline in the drawing object type, set the value to Polyline. Click the button to draw a series of connected, straight line segments, allowing for multiple bends and angles, useful for illustrating pathways or routes. Next, I'll explain how to customize the connectors. To customize the color of the connector, in the Start to Process Connector object, add the Style property. Set the stroke color property with the color orange and set the stroke width to 5. You can see the connector is orange and with a new stroke width. To customize the style dynamically at runtime, you need to access the connector and change its style. To do so, first add a button component with the Content Edit connector. Let the event handler name be Edit Connector. In the data function, define the Edit Connector method. Use the diagram instance, access the connector collection's first index value, and set the style property with a new object that contains the property stroke color with the value black and the stroke width of 1. Click the Edit Connector button and you can see the first connector with the color black and width of 1. Let's see how to change the connector decorators. Notice that the source decorator shape is set to none and the target decorator is set to arrow by default. You can customize the source and target decorators. To do so, in the connector collection, add the source decorator property for the first connector and set the shape property to diamond. You can set 10 more shape types such as square, circle, and many others. Define the style property with the fill color orange. Do the same for the target decorator property. Now you can see the first connector's source and target decorators with a diamond shape and orange fill. Next, I'll show you how to remove a connector from the diagram. In the template, add a button with the text Remove Connector and set the click event method name. Define the Remove Connector method. Within it, use the diagram instance and call the remove method by passing the diagram instance's auth index connector. Click the Remove Connector button. The first connector is removed from the diagram canvas. That's how easy it is to create connectors and customize them in the Syncfusion Vue Diagram component. You can download the example used in this video from the GitHub link in the description below. I've also included a link where you can check if you're eligible for our community license, which gives you a free license key for our entire Vue suite. If you found this video useful, click the like button and subscribe to our channel to get notifications about new videos. Thanks for watching.